I do a little flip through of this before I make the video, and it just consisted of me sighing and swearing a lot. And people don't like swearing, so I'm going to try to cut it out on this. This is Ironheart 10. Notice my fake excitement. I'm trying to get excited for this comic that really has no excitement in it. Nobody at any time in the creation of this comic was excited about it. They didn't look forward to drawing the pages, inking them, lettering them, or writing it out. Nobody was having a good time. It's just strictly a paycheck for them, and a very small paycheck at that. Ironheart 10, The Enemy Within. Well, if you want to know who the enemy within is, it's mainly the writer, but possibly the artists who, well, you'll see, who draw things like this. Or this. Let's see. Iron Man 10. Is it good? Is it bad? Well, yes, it's bad. But it's bad in the most milquetoast, politically correct way. Men are evil. Cops are evil. That's to be expected. At least they didn't do an Orange Man bad thing. But give them time. I'm sure they'll get around to it. Like they have a checklist. Trump, the Second Amendment, Europeans. We have to make sure to attack all of them, or else the left will turn on us. Of course, they aren't buying SJW comics. Nobody is. Issue 10 is probably down to about 10,000 issues. And it's hard to believe even that many people are buying it for $4. It's a complete waste of money. It has no redeeming features. The concept, the writing, even the art is bad. But the best part is that it stars 4 skinny girls who totally kick ass, despite being 100 pounds with no breasts. Do boobs help the characters kick ass? Maybe not. Maybe not, if I'm being perfectly honest. But they do help increase sales. 95% of the people buying comics are male. For some reason, everyone in the mainstream industry seems to forget that one salient fact. I didn't say 95% of the people reading comics are male, because they love to do a little shuffle when they say something like, you know, comic readers are a certain percentage of women. They'll say it's, I don't know, 30, 40, 50% women. Maybe that's true. Maybe the 50% of the users, the end users of the product, are female. Fine. That's actually not as relevant as you think it is. What is the most relevant to someone selling a product is who's buying the product. 95% of the people who buy the product are men, or about 95%. The overwhelming majority are men. That's your market. That's who you have to advertise to, sell to, pander to. Just, I mean, you've got to, fan service. You've got to give them what they want. That concept of giving the customer what they want is just abhorrent to them. It supports, oh my God, it supports the patriarchy. So having 4 chicks in this comic doesn't make sense at all. And here's the thing. If you want to include a all-girl team, fine, you can make it work. But they need to be beautiful, fun, and flirty. They need to be more like Charlie's Angels. I don't know if you remember that movie from, I guess, 1990s, 2000. I think they did 3 Charlie's Angels with, I don't know, Cameron Diaz and that chick from the Ally McBeal show. And that other chick who's in all the Adam Sandler films. You can see I'm totally prepared for this. Those 3 movies, they weren't rocket science, but they were fun movies. You looked at these 3 women who looked like they actually enjoyed the opposite sex. They didn't look like they hated them, and they knew what they were capable of. I mean, they did a lot of ridiculous things, like backflips and flying through the air, doing that crouching dragon, hidden tiger moves, whatever. It was a fun, silly movie. This comic doesn't have any of that Charlie's Angels vibe. Comics need more. This comic needs more Charlie's Angels and Harley Quinn. If you have 4 chicks who look like skinny men, then why don't you just have men in the roles? Usually superhero characters are tall, muscular dudes who look like Thor. Why am I making hand gestures? There's no one to see me making hand gestures. They look physically capable. A 250-pound male athlete brings a certain believability to a role that a 100-pound breastless, I'm just going to say it again, breastless girl doesn't bring to the role. I mention that so often because one of the things on Twitter that the anti-CGers always mention is the Comicsgate people obsession with the female form. I know no SJWs are watching this because the channel is too small and it's just, I mean, there's nothing in it for them. But listen, if you're going to draw these guys as 6'4", hulking, muscular Greek god type characters, and then you draw the women looking like Captain Marvel, well, there's a certain disconnect there. And the disconnect is even worse when you consider who your audience is. Part of it is, even if a teenager is a genius, they just don't have the experience that like a 40-year-old has. 16-year-olds don't have a good track record with making good decisions. So you have this book starring a bunch of skinny teenagers facing challenges that are better suited to a 30-year-old. The story is stretching the willing suspension of disbelief too far. But if you point it out, you're a basement-dwelling incel who probably trolls 4chan while wearing a MAGA hat and smoking weed, drinking Mountain Dew, and watching wrestling. Actually, that's something the left and right have in common. Both sides like weed and wrestling. It's good we can agree on something. Our 4 plucky young breastless heroes face some zombies, but of course it's no problem because they are women, and with the power of their B-cups and vaginas, they can handle anything. Girls as heroes doesn't work in an action-adventure, not for anything more than a brief period. It's usually boys who see themselves in the adventurer's role. Usually girls see themselves as the beautiful princess who gets rescued from the dragon. Women don't fantasize about going on dangerous adventures because they want to have babies and raise children while they're young, healthy, and desirable. So if you have a book that neither boys or girls want to buy, what's the point? So who bought this 10,000 issues that allegedly were shipped? I assume college lesbians who are mad at their parents and Trump. This was the only cool scene in the comic where they find this upside down city. It kind of reminds me of a Terry Pratchett book where he discovers this dragon world, and it's upside down, where the dragons hang upside down, and there's a city floating in air. It's kind of cool, but one good scene doesn't negate the 22 other pages of just politically correct. It's like just oatmeal or something. Oatmeal with protein powder added. It's something that you might eat to survive, but you're not voluntarily cooking it or putting it in front of yourself. So who buys this? The same crowd who buys Squirrel Girl, Captain Marvel, Black Panther, Captain America. Notice I say buy and not read, because most of these cancer comics are brutally difficult to get through, as this one was. It was not an easy read. And they didn't even drown you in text, as you can see. It's just so freaking boring. There was nothing. There was no spark of anything in this book. Okay, the art, I said the art wasn't good. I should say the artist is technically competent. Apologies. But he or she, I don't know who wrote it, drew it, is being constrained. There is someone standing behind them with a gun to their head saying, don't you dare make these women attractive. And I guess, I don't know if they're supposed to be teenagers or early 20s or what, but if you have teenagers or if you've ever been a teenager, you know that girls develop pretty early. There's nothing, you're not being some kind of weird degenerate creep to draw humans that look like humans. 16-year-old girls and boys are pretty much adults. They are fully capable of fighting wars and reproducing and running businesses and, most things. Most 16-year-old humans are almost completely capable of being adults, almost. So you can draw them as what they actually look like. To draw them like 12-year-old boys prepubescent boys is just, it's creepy. That's creepy. To not draw humans accurately is just really weird. It's like, I don't want to say exactly what it's like, but it's weird, and it's kind of, they have some, I don't know, it kind of goes to the transgender issue they have with keeping kids prepubescent. It's really, there's a lot of really sick people in the LGBT community, not the normal gay people. Those people are, 99% of the gay people are just normal. But there's this weird small group that is deeply, deeply disturbed. And the thing is, they manage to hide in the LGBT community. And they need to be rooted out, tree and branch, and exterminated. Anyway, saying that kind of thing would get you kicked off Twitter. These books are written by people who don't seem familiar with comics, or that they even like comics. What is even weirder is that they don't seem to like the characters that they are writing. I heard a theory that people in comics now are merely there because they view it as a stepping stone to Hollywood, Amazon, Netflix, and it shows in the writing. It feels like the comics are just placeholders to maintain intellectual property rights. Finally, we come to the elephant in the room that I waited until the end of this video to talk about, because no one will probably hear this. The protagonists are 4 African girls with an all-African cast. People like to see themselves in characters, so the only people who can really see themselves in these characters are African girls, who are famously known for buying comics. If that was so, then yes, you should pander to your audience. If African girls were filling the comic book stores, sell them what they want, give them what they want, give them little African girl heroes. Absolutely. You can go to your local comic book store, hang out for a few hours if the person will let you, or just ask the people, who's your audience, who's your target audience, who comes in and pays money for comics. It's who you expect it is. And it's not girls. So anyway, these people, they're limiting their audience to 6% of the country. Why would anyone throw away 94% of the audience? Because it's not about money or even making a good product. It's about propaganda. Anyway, Ironheart sucks a bag of donkey dongs. Let's look at something that doesn't. Let's look at Indiecron. Okay, this review went longer than I thought it would be. I thought, oh, damn it. I want to look at these 2 books, City of Venus and Doorkickers, Panzer Demon, which I don't know who was talking about this. I think either the I Love Comics crowd or the Wart the Wizard crowd was talking about it. Someone was talking about it. They were on some show and they're trying to get this thing funded. Let's see what they're at. Okay, $11,000, so that's probably enough to get going. This, yeah, it looks fine. Everything looks good. I don't know why they're flying what looks like a manned drone. Usually drones are unmanned. Anyway, this has got some names on it, and everything looks competent. Everything looks good. I didn't see enough to really tell what's going on. But the comic is a standard $25. That you can get narwhal covers, black and white print covers, collector's bundles, original pages of art. Pretty much what you expect. If you like this kind of stuff, this kind of G.I. Joe. Actually, you know what? I should say it's kind of I was thinking G.I. Joe, but it's kind of a Jawbreakers type of comic, which is cool because now that Jawbreakers is used as an adjective, an adverb. I don't know what kind of part of speech that is, but it's used as a descriptive term to describe a subgenre of military science fiction, I guess is what it, or military fantasy fiction, kind of more like Jawbreakers. Kind of has some similarities with Star Wars because it's not really science fiction so much as it is magic, with the Jedis and the Jawbreakers doing, whatever, the guy with the magic hands and all their superpowers and stuff. Anyway, okay, this has got Eric Weathers associated with it, and he has his own comic book that I forgot the name of, but it's on Indiecron, and he's got his own channel on YouTube. But he's a name that's been associated with. I think he did the letters on Jawbreakers, so he's got some experience. Anyway, this looks really good. Military fantasy type of thing. And the other one that someone was recommending is City of Venus, Dead City. And this I liked. The art I liked. I liked the drawing of the female form. City of Venus, Dead City, post-apocalyptic. I like post-apocalyptical stories a lot. I like that setting. A lot of zombie stories are post-apocalyptical stories, and you've got to kind of create a new world among the detritus of the old world. People, on the brink of rebuilding civilization or just going back to hunting and gathering type of thing. So there's a lot on the line with these. There's another word for post-apocalyptical, but it's completely slipping my mind. The Postman by David Brin was pretty good. I think they made that into a movie with Kevin Costner, but the book was solid. A woman with unknowingly has the power to save the world. Okay, so I was flipping through this, and I liked the way the woman is drawn. I like the science fiction, the floating cities. All this looks, kind of Blade Runner-ish. City of the Dead. Women looking like beautiful women. Art by some Italian guy. Vinny Tartamella. He's very good. Kind of reminds me a little bit of Mike Miller. Okay. I think there's one image. I think it was here. What are those? Zombies? I saw this. I saw this image and I thought, you have my full attention. Come on, get over here, you bastard. Okay, you son of a bitch. This is what we need more of in comics. We need more of this and less of Ironheart or Captain Marvel or Squirrel Girl. Why can't we just have beautiful people doing awesome things? Is that just so verboten now? It supports the patriarchy or something. You know what? Maybe the patriarchy is not all bad if it gave us good comics. Anyway, check out Doorkickers, Panzer Division, and check out City of Venus, Dead City, or you can go to Indycron. I'm sorry, not Indy. Yeah, Indycron, and you can check out the latest projects. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys all next issue.